Are you looking to make better Pokemon card decks? In particular, if you're coming into the game and you've got yourself one of these V battle decks, like these are the Blastoise and Venusaur ones that I learned the game on last year, or maybe you got one of these Battle Academy sets. There's a new one with Pikachu and Cinderace on it, and you play them and they're great, and you're like, yeah, but how do I make these better? Well, not only am I going to provide you with answers on how to upgrade these decks, but these cards will be used to upgrade every deck you make in the foreseeable future. So stick around for that. My name is Jet from inthirdperson.com. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's talk about upgrades for V Battle decks, the Battle Academy, and any other deck you make going forward. Now, ground rules here. The purpose of this video is not necessarily to provide you with, here is the way to take this Venusaur deck and make it the ultimate Venusaur deck. That is not the exercise here. The problem is that, one, making an upgrade video for each of these, it's probably worthy of its own video. And two, these decks, they are level 1 decks. They're not really built for competitive play. If you want to make a top tier Venusaur deck, you're gonna pretty much have to throw out this whole thing and build a whole new deck. So debatable whether the exercise of upgrading these to top tier is even worth it. That said, the cards I'm going to recommend here will be staple cards that not only make this deck better and this deck better, but any deck you make going forward. These are staple cards that are just straight up upgrades from number of cards that you're going to get here, and you'll be using when you're ready to make top tier decks, or whatever decks you're going to make, just the best versions of any deck you're going to make. So let's go to the list here, and let's go to the list and start talking about some cards that you should be adding and replacing. And one of the cards that I've noticed in these V Battle decks that's in like all of them is Hop. Draw 3 cards. This is a card that in function has been in the game since pretty much the very beginning. It's appeared as Tierno. It's currently exists as Galar Friends. This is a bad card. Take all of these out of your deck. There are cards that are just a straight up upgrade to that, such as Bird Keeper, which allows you to move your Pokemon from the bench to the active while also drawing 3 cards. So it's a great way to switch and draw 3 cards. You can also play a card called Avery, which is a card that has picked up in popularity in the last couple of months, because not only do you draw 3 cards, but you reduce your opponent's bench down to 3 Pokemon. There are a lot of meta decks that require you to fill the entire bench with Pokemon, and forcing them to knock 2 of them off the bench can be absolutely devastating. So those 2 cards are just straight up upgrades. But the one card that you really need to embrace here, Professor's Research. I know a couple of theme decks in the past have had like a copy of this, and I remember when I was first starting to learn how to play the game, I was horrified of this card. I don't want to discard my hand and draw 7 cards, but the reality is, yeah, you do want to discard your hand and draw 7. There are times I will have more than 7 cards, and I will throw them all out if it means I get 7 new cards and I get the cards that I want. Do not be afraid to use Professor's Research. If anything, many, if not all meta decks have 3 to 4 copies of this card, because being able to get rid of bad cards, at least bad cards in the moment, and get good cards that you need right now is huge. Absolutely necessary. Build your deck in a way where using Professor's Research on a certain combination of cards isn't going to matter, and you'll be fine. A couple of other cards that you want that help you draw more cards to consider. Zinnia is not used as much, but it's in situations. It can be great. Discard 2 cards and then draw up to however many. Draw cards until you have the equivalent of how many Pokemon your opponent has on their bench or in play. So up to 6 Pokemon, up to 6 cards. And in certain cases, you will want to discard cards before you draw cards, so this serves double duty in that regard as well. And not only do you need to can you play supporter cards to draw more cards? There are some Pokemon that help you draw cards as well. Something like Bibarel, which came out as part of Brilliant Stars. It says it right there on the logo. It has the ability Industrious Incisors, which lets you draw until you have 5 cards in your hand. And this works if you've got multiple Bibarels on the bench. You can draw again and again up to 5 cards, which is fantastic. Another staple is Crobat V. Put this on your bench. You can just draw up to 6 cards. Absolutely amazing support card. And one more, if you are playing a Fusion Strike deck, Genesect is the card. This just lets you draw up to 6 cards, or draw a card for every Fusion Strike Pokemon in play. So this maxes out at 6. And if you're going to play a Fusion Strike deck, you have to have Genesect. Another sort of staple card that appears in pretty much every theme deck that you can improve on is Great Ball. Great Ball is not good. It is a card where you look at the top 7 cards of your deck and you can grab a Pokemon that's in that top 7. But you will run into times where not only do you not find the Pokemon you're looking for, but you don't find any Pokemon at all. And because of the inconsistency of this card, it's pretty terrible. Take it out of your theme deck, take it out of your V Battle deck, and instead replace it with a suite of Pokemon search that works a lot better. For example, Quick Ball, 4 of in every single deck. You play this card, you discard a card, get the basic Pokemon you want. You might also want to play Level Ball, which lets you grab a Pokemon with 90 HP or less. And now you might think like, oh, I can't get my big attacker because it has more than 90 HP. But there are a lot of support Pokemon that are 90 HP or less, such as Bidoof, such as Sobble, such as Drizzile. And having a way of searching out just those Pokemon, fantastic. You can also use Ultra Ball, which has come back as part of Brilliant Stars, where you can discard 2 cards, grab any Pokemon you want, right? If you're playing the Blastoise V, and I've played this deck, and you're just like, oh, I can't find Blastoise. Well, I guess in a world where you're playing Blastoise VMAX, you can use Quick Ball to get Blastoise V. But if you have a Blastoise VMAX, you can just play Ultra Ball, discard 2 cards, and get it. Also, keep in mind, you can use Evolution Incense, which lets you grab any evolution Pokemon from your deck. And in terms of supporters that grab Pokemon, an interesting one is Adventure's Discovery. This lets you grab up to 3 Pokemon V and put them into your hand. And this is Pokemon V, Pokemon V Star, Pokemon V Max, and even V Union pieces as well. Not every deck runs Adventurer's Discovery. Actually, a lot of them don't. But for a handful of decks, this card is very handy. Did I miss anything? No. There are some other types of cards that we see a lot in V Battle decks. And in the more recent run of V Battle decks, there is a card that I actually did not add to this list. I'm going to add that right now. And that card is Shauna. Let's go and add a copy of that here to our master list. And what Shauna does is you shuffle your hand into your deck and draw 5 cards. And what is not so great, it is great that you get to shuffle your hand in your deck, draw 5 cards. However, there's a decent chance you're going to get cards that you already didn't want. And on top of that, you're only shuffling your own cards and not your opponent's cards. So there are some straight up upgrades you can use instead of Shauna, including the Queen herself, Marnie, another staple card in almost every single deck. Instead, you will shuffle your hand into the bottom of your deck and draw 5 cards, and your opponent will also shuffle their hand into their deck and draw 4 cards. This, because of the ability to also shuffle your opponent's cards and put them at the bottom of the deck, you will make it very difficult for your opponent to, stay on their toes. And if they had any sort of game plan with their current hand, that's all out the window. And it's now super hard to get those cards out of the bottom of their deck. And this card can be incredibly helpful for you and incredibly devastating for your opponent. So take out Shauna, put Marnie in instead. Another one you might consider, especially in a world where a number of these cards are rotating at the beginning of 2023. Marnie is one of the cards set to be cut. Something like Judge may be the replacement, and in this one, each player shuffles their hand into their deck and draws 4 cards. You will get 4 cards. It's 1 less than Shauna, but you disrupt your opponent's hand as well. And one other sort of shuffle draw card, this is a new one from Astral Radiance called Roxanne. And with this one, you can only use it when your opponent has 3 or fewer prizes remaining, so you may only want 1 of these in your deck. But when you play it, both players shuffle their hands into their decks, you draw 6 cards, they only draw 2. And it is one of the few methods of making a comeback in the Pokemon TCG where you just get an amazing hand and your opponent only has 2 cards to work with, and it might not be enough to help them close out the game. So absolutely worth popping one of these into your deck as well. Another card that shows up a lot in the... Let me take a quick sec here to just check some other things. So we were talking about shuffle draws. Yep. These will come in handy later. Another card that shows up in a lot of these V Battle decks and the Battle Academy is Gym Trainer. This one lets you draw 2 cards, or if your opponent knocked out one of your Pokemon in the previous turn, you can draw 2 more cards for a total of 4. This is not great. Drawing 2 cards, maybe drawing 4 cards. You can use something like a Marnie or a Professor's Research, but let's key in on the idea of a special effect when you're knocked out. And in that case, you're going to want to play something like Cynthia's Ambition, where you can draw up to 5 cards, but if your opponent had knocked you out on the previous turn, you can actually draw up to 8. This is a massive upgrade over Gym Trainer, and you can just take that out, put in Cynthia's Ambition instead. Another card that you will want to consider here is Ryhan. This is a staple in many competitive decks where you can only play it if you had a Pokemon knocked out in the previous turn, but when you do, you can attach 1 basic energy to any Pokemon of your choice and draw a card from your deck. This is a key way to increase your energy acceleration while also drawing specific cards that you need to secure the win or get back on top. And another one with that sort of knockout effect is Bruno, where you shuffle your hand into your deck. Normally you would draw 4 cards, but if you had a Pokemon knocked out in the previous turn, you can actually draw 7 instead. So again, just another upgrade over Gym Trainer. There is no reason to play this card. And I should mention, on top of Hop, like the straight up draw cards, that in the same category is Bug Catcher. Get Bug Catcher out of there. Dan, get that out of there as well. All of the cards I've mentioned in terms of draw support will replace all of those. Yeah, your Dan, your Bug Catcher, your Gym Trainer, your Hop, and so on. And even Shauna too. Some other cards for energy acceleration. This one's a big one, right? Normally you're only allowed to attach 1 energy per turn, but a card like Bead helps you attach another 1. And you might think that's pretty great, but there are so many more ways of attaching more energy faster. You just have to know where to look and what cards to play. And in this regard, there's actually a lot of Pokemon that can help you accelerate a little faster, such as if you're playing a single strike deck, you have to have Houndoom, which lets you accelerate a single strike energy from Houndoom to a single strike Pokemon of your choice, and you can quickly get 3 to 4 single strike energy in 1 turn. Absolutely crazy. If you're playing a psychic deck, Solrock Lunatone, for example, Solrock can take energy from the discard pile and attach it to a Lunatone. And this doesn't just work for the Solrock Lunatone deck. You can use Lunatone to hold the energy for Shadow Rider to hit hard or for Mewtwo V-Star to hit hard. So this is a viable engine too. You can use Cherrim with the Spring Bloom ability that accelerates energy from your hand, any amount of grass energy from your hand, to any Pokemon that doesn't have a rule box on it. Or Rillaboom, which lets you grab 2 energy from your deck and put it on any Pokemon. There's no rule box requirement here. So absolutely great way for grass Pokemon to accelerate. If you're playing an electric deck or a deck that can accept electric energy, Flaaffy lets you take energy from the discard pile, electric energy from the discard pile, and attach it to a Pokemon on the bench. There's a lot. Shadow Rider lets you attach an energy to the bench, a Pokemon on the bench, and then draw 2 cards. Frosmoth lets you attach any water energy you have to a water Pokemon of your choice. Blastoise has the insane ability, Vitality Spring, which lets you accelerate 6 energy to any Pokemon of your choice, and then shuffle your deck. Your turn ends, but you get 6 energy on the board, which is nuts. And then on top of that, there are some trainers that do help accelerate energy as well. They're a little faster. Like if you're playing a grass deck, you definitely want to play around with Gardenia's Vigor, which lets you draw 2 cards and then attach up to 2 energy cards, grass energy, to Pokemon of your choice. You can also use, where is that card? I didn't add it. Yeah, Gutsy Pickaxe. This hasn't been used as much, but it is fighting, it's acceleration for fighting decks, which fighting decks have been short on in recent times, where you flip the top card of your deck, and if it's a fighting energy, attach it to the bench. There's a couple of ways you can game the system so that you can guarantee that it's a fighting energy. You can use a Pokemon like Oranguru to take energy from your hand, put it on the top of your deck, and then you play the pickaxe to guarantee the energy attachment. Or you can use Rotom Phone, which looks at the top 5 cards of your deck. If there's a fighting energy in there, you can put it on top and guarantee that you'll get the attachment. Maybe not the cleanest way to attach energy relative to some of these other ones, but it is a way to do that for fighting Pokemon specifically. For metal Pokemon, you absolutely want Metal Saucers, which allow you to attach metal energy from the discard pile to your Pokemon. If you're playing a fire deck, you want Magma Basin, which accelerates energy from the discard pile to your Pokemon. You'll also take 20 damage in the process, but that's not a big deal. And I think that if I missed any... Oh, there's even some types of energy that count for extra. If you're playing a Rapid Strike deck, Rapid Strike energy counts for 2 instead of 1. Double Turbo energy, which is very popular. Excuse me. Very popular in the game right now. This counts for 2 colorless energy. You do lose 20 damage in the process, but it's also compatible with pretty much any Pokemon in the game. And last but not least, Twin energy, which doesn't work on Pokemon V or GX. However, it does give you 2 energy without any sort of damage nerf, like Double Turbo energy. I mean, some other ways to even keep your energy going. EXP share is one where instead of adding energy, you can transfer energy from a knocked out Pokemon to the one wearing XP share. And people aren't really using this one right now, but Jirachi V is a way of keeping energy on the board, where if a Pokemon gets knocked out, a Pokemon V gets knocked out, you can attach that energy to another Pokemon of your choice. And I think I got everything in there. Yeah, sorry, I'm looking at my notes. There's a lot of cards we have to cover here. Oh, also, if you're playing a metal deck, I noticed I've got Magnezone here, which has the ability Giga Magnet. Once during your turn, you may look at the top 6 cards of your deck and attach any number of metal energy cards you find there. So it's another way to accelerate metal energy. I personally prefer Metal Saucer, but Metal Saucer is rotating in the next year, and Magnezone will probably be the way for metal-specific acceleration. Oh, one other one, Dark Patch. It's basically Metal Saucer, but for dark Pokemon. Amazing card to have. So with that, there's pretty much like tons of different ways of accelerating energy that are more efficient than Bead, or even something like Marnie's Pride, which is another one that attaches 1 but is from the discard pile instead. And then the last major category I wanted to cover here is healing. a lot of these decks have potions in them, which let you heal 30 damage from one of your Pokemon. Generally speaking, healing isn't really a factor. Most decks don't play healing because it doesn't really matter. However, if you do want to play healing, there are cards that are just straight up upgrades from this. For example, Sweet Honey. Choose one of your Pokemon, then flip a coin until you get tails. For each heads, heal 40 damage from that Pokemon. And yes, you could flip tails on the first one, but if you flip heads, you're automatically getting more energy at 40, and you might even get even higher than that, 40, 80, 120, so on. You could also play Lucky Ice Pop, which is guaranteed 20, and then you can flip a coin, and if you get heads, you can keep the card and then use it again. I've seen people hit Lucky Ice Pop heads 8 times in a row and completely heal their Pokemon. And even if you don't, the thing is, you get 20 damage. You get to heal 20 damage with a 50% shot of being able to heal another 20. And in the long run, Lucky Ice Pop is going to be a better option than what's it called? The potion. I realize there's another card I'm missing here. Speaking of potions, Hyper Potion is one that started to gain popularity. You heal 120 damage, but you have to discard 2 energy. But if you're running a deck that runs double turbo energy, you just attach the double turbo, you play the Hyper Potion, you take the double turbo out, and then you're not really losing anything because you didn't need that energy anyway, which is fantastic. And some other healing options. Yeah, Cook is one that I've seen. Yeah, don't use Cook either. If you're gonna play Cook just heals 70. If you can, and you really need healing from a supporter, I would recommend Cheryl. Cheryl is a staple in a number of decks where you heal all damage from each of your Pokemon, your evolution Pokemon. You do have to discard your energy, but there are a lot of ways to game the system where that doesn't really matter. Certain Pokemon discard their energy before they attack again. Others have ways of moving the energy before you Cheryl, and then you can reattach it. It's pretty great. And I think that's it for healing. Oh, other ones. Instead of healing, you may want to consider a defensive option that helps you take less damage instead, such as Big Charm, which gives any of your Pokemon plus 30 HP, or Cape of Toughness, which gives your non-GX Pokemon, basic non-GX Pokemon, plus 50 HP. Realizing there's like an entire category I didn't capture here, and that is for gusting. Some of these decks feature a card called Pokemon Catcher, where you can flip a coin and move your opponent's bench Pokemon into the active. No one really uses this card unless you play Mew VMAX at this point, because there's the 50% shot that it's not going to work. Why would you play that when you can play Boss's Orders and just move the Pokemon of your choice into the active? Yes, it burns your supporter, but more often than not, this is the card that you're going to want this function, and being able to do other supporters in that turn doesn't really matter. There are so many games at all levels of play that are ended by the player who grabs Boss's Orders. Absolutely monumental card. You're going to want 2 to 4 of these in every single deck you make. And so if you're looking for a card that helps you gust the Pokemon of your choice in, Boss's Orders is the way to go over Pokemon Catcher. And if you're not going to use that, the other way of gusting Pokemon through an item is Cross Switcher, which you have to play 2 of these. So you have to have 2 of them in your hand. And when you play them, you can take one of their Pokemon on their bench and put it in the active, and then put one of your Pokemon from the bench and put it into the active, while still having that supporter to do other stuff. And this is become a more popular way of switching Pokemon as well. Definitely not as popular as Boss, because you have to grab 2 pieces, but it's certainly more reliable than something like Pokemon Catcher. And a couple of other cards, just scanning here, some other ones that I wanted to address here that you'll want to add into your decks in order to make them even stronger. You may want something like, let me check here. You may want something like a Lumineon V. When you put this onto your board, you can just grab any supporter card of your choice, which again, you can grab your boss's orders, grab your professor's research. Absolutely critical card to have in your deck. You may also want, there's some items here as well, rare candy being one of them, right? Having to evolve 2 levels is really tough to get that off in a game. However, you can use rare candy, and when you play it, you jump from level 1 to level 3, which is amazing and essential. And if you're going to play a stage 2 deck, so any Pokemon that evolve twice, you absolutely have to have 4 copies of rare candy, or at least a bunch of rare candy. Here's what it used to look like before. I was just showing the Pokemon Go version on screen just now. And last but not least, Choice Belt. This has become a staple in almost every deck because it does plus 30 damage to Pokemon V. And not only is this good for other Pokemon Vs hitting Pokemon V, but if you're playing a regular, like a single prize Pokemon, you can get the damage up to plus 30. Can really make the difference between a single prize attack that doesn't really do anything to, oh my goodness, you just scored the knockout and the huge upset win. So there you go. I know that was a lot. There's a lot of cards here. I'll export this list and you can have it in, grab it off of the description in YouTube and, you know, source all these cards yourself. Another amazing place to get these, and I should have pulled this up. You can get all of these cards in the Trainer's Toolkits, and the Pokemon Company releases actual kits that feature all of a whole bunch of the cards we talked about today. So let me actually get my browser working on screen. I should have had this set up before. I apologize. Let me just log out of this thing so you can't see. And here. So there's a box. There's the Trainer's Toolkit, the purple box with Lumineon. This features a lot of the cards we've been talking about here today. And this is the newer one. But the older one, the blue box featuring Crobat V, has like a whole bunch of the trainers that we have talked about, and energy as well. So if you are looking to get into the Pokemon trading card game and you're like, how do I get Marnies and how do I get Professor's Research? These 2 boxes are key. And if you're just looking for the codes, this site, Potown Store, is a great place to buy just the code, and then you get all of these trainers here, which is absolutely a worthwhile investment if you're just getting into the game and you need some great cards that you can use in any deck going forward. All right, this may not be the video you were expecting. Again, I apologize if it was a little clickbaity and you came into this like, oh, I can't wait to make the ultimate Blastoise VMAX deck. It's probably, even if you do make that deck, it's probably still not going to be that great because Blastoise isn't, at the very least, unexplored. But with the knowledge that I've shared here in terms of staple cards, when you do build a deck or upgrade any of these pre-made decks, and hopefully you graduate to building your own deck in full, a lot of the cards I've mentioned here are straight up upgrades from the ones you already have in these decks, and you will be better off for it. So happy deck building. Again, my name is Jet from inthirdperson.com. If you appreciate the content, enjoy the content, make sure to thumbs up the video, subscribe to the channel. And there's a whole bunch of other videos that I have on my YouTube channel relating to Pokemon content. In particular, I cover a ton of decks that I build, and I provide deck lists and showcase the matches, and those are all on my YouTube channel here. Let me go and hit that button. You can also, on the YouTube channel. I'm also on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram at InThirdPerson. I also stream live on Twitch. A lot of the footage of the Pokemon stuff comes live from my Twitch channel, and I cut it up and put it on YouTube. Would love to chat with you personally on Twitch. And also check out my website, inthirdperson.com, for more articles and videos on video games, board games, and other nerdy pursuits. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you build the best decks ever with this advice, and I'll see you later. Take care, everybody.